Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Michigan Innovation Podcast. And please help me welcome Dorothy Vukmirovich with us. And Dorothy is with Total Wellbeing. She's a health and life coach. And I had the wonderful opportunity to meet Dorothy recently. We were both on the Great Lakes Women's Business Council's Launch You program, which is through the Kauffman Foundation. And we had about 22 people in that Launch You, and it was such a blessing. Our instructors were great. And that I'm so happy I got to meet Dorothy there. Hi, Dorothy. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ruth. I'm doing great. It's so good to be here.
It's awesome to be here with you as well. And you are an inspiration to many of us in the group because you work in the hard area. Maybe it's easy for you, but mental health and that whole wellness area of healthcare is so important because so many of us suffer from mental issues, and we have loved ones that have mental, challenges. And so God bless you for the work you do. And we're going to jump all over that work you do and talk about your business. But before we do that, Dorothy, if it's all right with you, can we learn about you as a person and kind of what do you do? What makes you tick? What do you like about, what's going on in the world, and what do you spend your time doing?
Yes, sure. So I do want to back up a little bit. The way I got started in my business was I was a health and life coach. So I started off as a health and life coach, hence the name Total Wellbeing Health and Life Coach. However, I eventually received my license. I became a licensed professional counselor and a licensed substance abuse counselor. And so I went through that educational journey to become that bachelor's and then master's. And there are a ton of other things that need to take place, additional things to become a substance abuse counselor, in addition. So I went on that journey of becoming those things.
And I just want to thank you for making that very important distinction because that is not for the faint of heart. You went through years and years of education with your bachelor's and I believe your master's, and then
Yes,
you went through the rigor of getting licensed and maintaining those licenses.
yes.
I think that, that is for both mental health, substance abuse, that is so important. And I'm sure, how long did that whole journey take you?
The whole journey took, I would say, about 8 years.
I know it, and that's huge. And I just have to acknowledge you for that. That good for you. You really are persistent, and it must be something you are truly passionate about.
Yes, I am very passionate about that. I love people. Anytime I even think about my passion for people, I get emotional. Yeah, so that passion started off actually my professional career as a teacher for Head Start. So I started off teaching children in at-risk communities. And when I did that, I saw the need for me to want to do more in a different capacity. And so that capacity, it took me to my master's program. And when I was doing my what was called an externship, I realized, which was at one of the addictions facilities in the heart of Detroit, I realized that this is what I wanted to do, that this is the career path that I wanted to take. And so that's pretty much how I got started.
Well, that is amazing. And what sparked it in the first place?
So,
That's not for, like I said, that's an unusual, that takes a lot. What was
yeah.
the for you?
So for me, being, seeing, working with the community that I worked with as a Head Start teacher and seeing some of the struggles and some of the pain that some of the families were experiencing, that really sparked that interest in me to want to do more. I was working in the capacity of a teacher, but when families would come up to me after the classes and oftentimes crying because of certain situations that they were finding themselves in, it sparked that interest and that passion in me to want to really sit down with them and have that conversation with them. And so going back to school and learning the tools and learning the mindset and ways of helping people in that capacity, that's the thing that really sparked my interest.
Oh, that's amazing, and that's good to hear. So let's get into the starting of your own business, the Total
Mhm.
Wellbeing Health and Life Coach business. Why did you
Mhm.
decide to start it out on your own with a new company?
Yeah, so like I said before, I started off as a health and life coach, and that's where I wanted to take the business originally. But then when I finished school and became a licensed professional counselor and a licensed substance abuse counselor, I wanted to do more. I wanted to incorporate those aspects of my practice into the business. So combining those things, combining the health and life coach with mental health and with substance abuse counseling. I wanted to combine those things together. And so I wanted to make sure that the business had that opportunity to grow from that lens of a therapist. So hence that's where total well-being was really birthed.
And the word total makes me think holistic. You're
Yes.
emphasizing both physical, emotional, spiritual, and it is so critical. And why did you decide to pull all those together with your mission?
Yes, absolutely. So when I think about people, right, I think about the totality of a person. And part of that is the mental health, the spiritual health, the physical health, the emotional health of a person. And so we're not people who are in a vacuum. So we're not mental health, one end of the spectrum, and then on the another opposite end, physical beings. But we're all encompassing. So when we think about mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, uh, we need to think of these things from an integrated, holistic approach to treatment, to healing. And so that's why I wanted to really focus in on the whole person. And I think back to this research that Harvard Health did in 2021 that shows that physical conditions like inflammation or poor sleep can significantly worsen mental health outcomes. That's just another example of a person being a complete person. And so these things can impact each other. So if a person is not sleeping, it can impact their mental health. If a person is not eating a healthy diet, it can also impact their mental health. And so these things together is important to look at, especially when we're looking at mental health. So when people come to me for mental health services, either counseling for substance abuse or mental health, I'm looking at the whole person. So I may ask them to go, I may recommend that they have a physical to make sure that none of their numbers are off. Because if the numbers are off, they're vitamin D levels or other types of physical symptoms, it can impact their mental health. There's a really important component when it comes to holistic health.
Well, and when I invited you on the Michigan Innovation Podcast, I thought that was a very innovative and new approach, because it's challenging the status quo.
Yes.
Mental health over here, physical health over here, spirituals over there, and it's all spread around. And I know that this therapeutic approach is very different than the traditional. Are you getting a lot of pushback from any of the peers in the community, or are they in understanding where you're coming from?
Not, um, especially pretty much now, I think most people are really coming on board with the importance of an integrated approach, with the importance of a holistic approach, understanding the components and the importance of looking at the person as a whole being and looking at those different components that can typically look like individual systems within the body. But when you're really looking at it, I think that most people have come to terms with the more holistic approach to healing.
Fantastic. Well, you're right here in Michigan, and how do you feel about the local culture and how it impacts people's openness, to therapy and wellness coaching?
Yeah, so for Michigan, I think that Michigan is a place of resilience. Michigan is a place of cultural mixture. And so typically looking at that resiliency, especially after the pandemic, I think more people are reaching out and understanding the importance of mental health. And so reaching out for that in this community.
Isn't that good news? That's really good news.
Yes.
What's the biggest misconception people have about therapy or wellness coaching that you'd love to clear up?
The thing that I think is the biggest misconception is that therapy is meant for when people are in crisis. Right? I think that most people look at therapy and think, or they need it. This person needs it, or that person needs it, because they may be able to see presenting issues in that person that may be overwhelming to the eye. So I think the misconception is that anyone can benefit from therapy. It doesn't need to be a person who presents in crisis. It doesn't need to be someone that uh, people identify as someone else. It can be self. It can be the own individual who may just need help with building relationships, building other types of skill sets to make a healthier lifestyle choices. So I think that that is a big misconception.
I think you're right. With that, I was wondering if you do have an innovative approach of bringing the holistic person to the forefront. Can you
Mhm.
describe, let's say, an aha moment when, a breakthrough happened and you experienced something with a client that really kind of demonstrates the whole idea of a holistic approach?
Sure. Let's see. I am thinking about a client who I once worked with who had intense anxiety and substance use challenges. And part of that process was the traditional talk therapy. And so, incorporating that traditional talk therapy, which is often something like cognitive behavioral therapy, um, as a talk therapy. And so also integrating mindfulness exercises, family support, and being able to also, when we think about that integrative approach, using things like essential oils or somatic work with the body, breath work. These things were able to be used with this individual to help them reduce their panic anxieties. They also remained sober for over a year. So this personalized approach, meeting that person, that whole self, not just their diagnosis, really help that person to overcome some of their initial struggles.
I love it. I just love that. Well, a
Thank
lot
you.
of people who watch this podcast are kind of like have a lot of stress. They suffer from burnout, because they might be entrepreneurs, innovators themselves. So, what would you say to a listener to protect themselves from for their mental health? How do they keep mentally healthy? What would you advise them? And what kind of advice would you give to them?
Yeah, so the first thing that I would recommend or invite them to do is to be mindful. Being mindful is a practice that oftentimes is overlooked and is oftentimes difficult to engage in because it's not something that people are often used to doing. So being mindful is being in the moment, being able to take a walk and really engage with the nature, engage with the environment, taking a walk, feeling what the weather feels like on the body, on the skin, the sun beaming down on the skin. So being mindful allows a person to identify what's happening in their body. Identifying that chronic stress and disconnection from self. So I encourage people to do daily check-in rituals with themselves. Even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes to breathe, to reflect, and to reset. Also, prioritizing sleep, creating boundaries and important connections over the hustle culture. Yeah, making sure that they're engaging in these things is important for reducing burnout.
Well, that's excellent advice. And one of the things that I'm very curious about is how do you get your clients? How do you receive? How do you get clients?
Yeah,
Are you
so
referred? Do people refer you? Are you on a refer?
yes. Yes, so some of my clients come through word of mouth. A client that I already have who's identified me as someone that they should go to. Other ways is through my website. So they click on one of the contact forms and I get it through there. So pretty much, and other ways is through some of the insurances that I panel with, such as Blue Cross Blue Shield, Blue Care Network, through those avenues. Um, I'm trying to think. So pretty much those avenues. So they're able to contact me on my website, which is Total Wellbeing, HLC.com, or calling my business line, which is 586 351 7361. So those are some ways that they've been able to contact me.
And how busy are you? Are you able to take new clients?
Yes, I am able to take new clients. And one other thing that I wanted to point out is that I believe in making sure that we're accessible. So we offer in-office appointments, we offer virtual appointments, and on certain circumstances, we do home visits.
Wow, that's very accommodating.
Yeah.
Well, where do you think innovation in the mental health field is headed? Are there any new practices or techniques that are particularly intriguing to you?
Yes, so when it comes to the digital, I'm fascinated by the growth of digital therapeutics. So, apps that use CBT, biofeedback, or even AI to support mental wellness. This is where we're headed. And these tools are really significant in helping not only the therapist, but also the client while outside of the therapy office through virtual reality practices. I'm also, want some of my specialties is trauma and, of course, addictions. And through trauma, I do exposure therapy or EMDR or cognitive processing therapy. And through these virtual reality platforms, they're able to really engage the client outside of these therapy practices or therapy walls, so to speak. And at the same time, I think we're seeing a growing appreciation for these integrative therapies like somatic work, engaging with the person's body, breath work, and even plant-based medicine.
Wow, those are some really fantastic innovations happening out there in the world. I had no idea.
Yes,
So,
yes.
what would you suggest to people that like run a business and they have staff that work for
Mhm.
them? For example, business leaders and entrepreneurs, they like to integrate wellness into their um, teams and foster healthy and more innovative workplace. So,
Mhm.
how do you suggest business owners kind of give that message out to their teams and create a mentally healthy work environment?
Yeah, so absolutely. I think that's a great question, and I think it's so very important. I think that the first line of defense, if you will, is to set the tone, that the leaders are charged with the opportunity to set the tone for the rest of the organization. And so modeling that balance, that openness and self-care so that the whole team can benefit from that. And then engaging that with the rest of the operations. So considering bringing in wellness workshops, offering mental health days, or creating quiet spaces for reflection. So these type of things have been known to reduce absenteeism in the workplace and improve productivity.
Absolutely. If you're happy at work, your work really does show it. I think
Absolutely.
very cool. And before I want to move on to the next one, I just want to acknowledge your demeanor and that you are such a calm person that
Thank you.
I think that you are uniquely qualified to really provide this to your clients because you just have this whole aura of peace and understanding. And I know you a little bit, but the more I get to know you, you just spending time with you just makes me feel more at ease. And
Mhm.
that's a gift that I think God gave you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I do. I also agree with you when you say that a gift that God gave. I truly believe that. I truly believe that living and operating, earlier we talked about the spirituality piece of the whole person, and and having a understanding and a relationship with our spirituality, whatever that may look like to each person. For me, it's with God, and having that communion and conversation with Him. It really helps me to work with other people and to see what He sees in people. So yeah.
Right, it's a gift. Really is. So I know you just went through this rigorous launch you with the Great
Yes.
Women's Business Council and the Kauffman Foundation. And how did that give you any ideas for what might be next for your total well-being business?
Yes, so it was such a pleasure and an honor going through that program. I met such wonderful, inspirational, motivational, innovative people, such as yourself, Rose. It really is an honor. I'm grateful to have met you, through that program. The people that they brought on for each of our presentations, each time that we met, it was a really innovative entrepreneur who have been in their business for many years, presenting to us their knowledge and their expertise. It was it was unmatched. And so I'm really grateful for that program. And the things that I took from that, that I'm taking into this next phase of my business, is that innovation, is that understanding of the business side of things. So, I went through school to become what I am, and having that understanding the skill set for my craft is one thing. Understanding the business side of things proved to be a whole new thing for me. And so going through that program and understanding the business concepts and that side of things has really helped me to think about my business in a way that I'm able to offer it to other people. And so thinking about having workshops and thinking about having um, what's called integrative marriage groups, uh, or intensive marriage groups, where oftentimes when married couples come in for counseling, or couples, it tends to go over the allowed hour. And so being able to offer an intensive couples group is one of the plans that I want to foresee happening within my company, and also other groups, such as anger management, really honing in on those skill sets. And so some of the other things that we offer are substance abuse evaluation. Sometimes people get caught up in the system where their license may be taken away from them, or they may need to prove that they're no longer using any substances and they need an evaluation done. So we offer those. We offer substance abuse evaluations, and some other upcoming things will be SAP services where people who work for the Department of Transportation who may have also been caught up in the system due to substances can also come to us for SAP services. We're looking forward to really delving into more services that we can offer the community.
When you do the assessments for substance abuse and some of the mental health assessments, can
Mhm.
you do them remotely or do they have to come to your office?
Yeah, so those we can do remotely. And any other psychoeducational group, we can also do not only within the county, but we can also do those outside of the state of Michigan. Any psychoeducational groups. So, for example, the anger management or substance abuse psychoeducation groups. We can also offer those within Michigan or without Michigan. Yeah,
Fantastic. And I know I love your website, by the way. I think you guys
thank
have a
you.
really great website. So I encourage everyone on the call to check it out. And we'll definitely put the link in the show notes. So you'll all be able to get it, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or YouTube. We'll definitely make sure you have access to all of Dorothy's details and how to get a hold of her. One of the things I found out is that you also do immigration work. So if someone
Yes.
needs some help in, you know, providing an assessment for a case there, could you talk
Mhm.
about that a little bit?
Sure. We do, there's Pacific types of immigration evaluations that we do to support those who are looking for that additional support to go with their process of being able to stay within this within the country. And so we do offer those as well.
And I think that's a very unique, very unique to you. I haven't seen a lot of that around, and I do think that's something we should definitely leverage for those that I know there's a lot going on in the area of immigration now, and each
Mhm.
person is a very unique story to tell, and their situations are very complex. And so,
Yes.
knowing that you offer that assessment really could help someone with their case, and I know
Mm.
that's very important work. Well,
Yeah.
I've totally enjoyed spending this time with you today, Dorothy. I want to make sure that we've covered all of the information regarding total wellness and your business and your experiences. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our podcast audience before we say goodbye?
This summer, we will be having a mental wellness event. So I am going to be getting all of the details together. So please stay tuned with that and stay connected with us on our website and social media platforms, so that you can be one of the first to know when those things are going to be happening.
Absolutely. Well, we'll want to make sure that we keep in touch with you regarding that very exciting special event coming up this summer. And
Yes,
summer can't come soon enough, in my opinion. You're down here
exactly.
in Detroit, and you're probably having nicer weather. But believe it or not, we had 3 inches of snow to on
Oh,
the ground today. There was no
wow.
snow on the ground, and it's March 24th, and we got 3 inches this
Oh
morning.
my
I'm in
goodness.
Cadillac. I'm not even in the UP. So
Wow.
I'm looking forward to that summer event because that means it would be summertime. Well,
Yes.
God bless you. And will you
Mhm.
join me again in a few months to let us know how things are going for you and your business, Dorothy?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rose.
You're welcome. And goodbye, everybody. Bye.